Hey, welcome back to Master Keys of Life. I want to talk to you about proximity. When you're going to do anything that you want to learn or that you want to succeed at, you need to be in proximity to the people who are already there. And what do I mean by that? When I was in my teens, I wanted to learn how to surf. I was living in South Florida and I just thought surfing was awesome. So I had a board and I thought, who's the best surfer in this town? It was a guy named Bruce. And so whenever I would go to the beach, I would look for him. I'd find him and I'd go sit next to him, or I would sit on the beach and I'd watch him and see how he caught waves. I'd see how he rode the waves. I said, okay, that's what I want to do. How was he doing that? I would study him. I would go paddle out, sitting next to him, watch how he would cork his board to catch a wave. I watched how he would interact with other surfers. And I said, I'm going to do that. And I began to emulate him, but I had to go put myself in proximity to him. And then I watched other surfers. I'd watch surfing movies, and I became a pretty good surfer. I mean, for an East Coast guy, I wouldn't be able to compete in the big waves, of course, because we didn't have them in Florida. But I enjoyed what I was doing. I became good at it because I put myself in proximity to someone who was already successful. I did the same thing in sports when I wanted to be a pole vaulter. Who's the best pole vaulter in our school? I made him my friend. We started pole vaulting together, and I would watch how he would do things. How did they run, plant the pole? Now I was much slower than the other vaulters on my team, so I had to figure out a different way. So I had to adjust the stands differently, but I watched how they did everything. I put myself near them to learn from them, and I was able to win some blue ribbons, et cetera. But most of the time I'd get second or third or sometimes fourth or fifth, but it didn't matter because I was enjoying what I was doing because I learned how to do it from the people who were already there doing it, already successful. I have used that system, if you will, of proximity for everything I've ever wanted to do. When I wanted to write my first book, I didn't just write a book. First, I studied. I said, who do I know? Who's the best writer? Well, I was living in Florida, and there was a man named Jamie Buckingham, and he was editor in chief, sort of. I think that was his title, of Charisma magazine, which was, of course, this is back in the 70s, and he was part of that publishing team. And my pastor knew him. And so he introduced me to him, and I was able to sit with him and talk with him. I was on the phone and learn from him how to get a book published. He gave me everything he knew. I did exactly what he said. And my first book that I ever wrote, sent to the very first publisher, what I had a contract within 10 days after I mailed that. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen every time. I'm not saying that. But I put myself in position to succeed. When I joined the circus at Florida State University, I looked around at the different acts that I wanted to do, which all of those are, I wanted to be in the center ring. I wanted to do something that was just me. Of course, I wanted to be on teams too, because flying trapeze and others, those were the prestigious acts to be in. So I got next to the people who were doing it. Now in the circus, I wanted to do a specific wire act called slack wire. Well, there was a young man who was like the premier guy at that moment. His name Charlie. And so I went to him and I said, Charlie, I said, I want to be really, really good at this act. Will you help me? And he said, of course I will. And he began to teach me how he learned everything, how to practice. You practice on a wire that's about this far off the ground because it'll throw you. And he used a stick to help steady himself. He just different things, how to stand, how to walk. I did exactly what he said. There were other wire walkers. I would be around them. I would talk to them. How are you doing this? How are you doing that? I would get everything I could. I put myself in proximity to them. I put myself close to them to learn all I could. And then I said, okay, now what can I do better than what they're doing? And I've applied that principle as well. But first, you got to be around the guys who are really, really good. Girls, guys, doesn't really matter. You've got to be around them. And I did that. I've done that with everything in my career. When it came to preaching, I said, okay, who's a preacher? Well, my pastor was Dale Brooks. Well, he was a screaming preacher a lot of times. I didn't, that's not me. That's not my personality. As you can tell, watching, all our podcasts here, but I wanted to be a really good teacher. And so I said, who are the best teachers out there right now? And I got all of their books, I got their tapes, I watched them on video, I went to their meetings, I put myself in proximity to the people who were doing what I wanted to do. And I became a really good teacher. And I learned how to study the Bible from them. I learned how to get the different books to study with. Back then, we didn't have anything online. This is back in the 80s. And so, I got the Strong's Concordance, and I got Vine's, and I've got all the other commentaries and things, so that I could be like those that I wanted to emulate. But I wanted to be myself as well. And so I would always say, okay, that's what they know about that subject. I'm going to see if I can go further, which of course you can, and I always did. So what am I saying here? Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a destiny that God has written for you. You have to find out what that is. When you find out what that is, of course, we'll help you. There's lots of links below here. You have to put yourself in proximity to the people who are already there doing what you want to do. Who are they? Go find them. How can you be around them? And then some of them you might even ask, will you mentor me? Like I went up to Charlie and I at Florida State University and said, will you help me learn this? I went to Jamie Buckingham. Will you help me learn how to be a published author? That's what you have to do. Recently we had the National Religious Broadcasters Convention here in the Nashville area where I live. And two of my friends made the decision they were going to go to the NRB, that's what it's called, the NRB convention, and one was going to sell a very high-end product, $7,000 or $8,000 for one. But the other is a movie producer, and he wanted to go and make connections because he had some stories he wanted to pitch because he wanted to turn them into movies. Both of them prepared. They said, okay, who are the people I want to meet? Where are they going to be? Are they going to be there? Yes. Okay, how can I meet them? How can I be prepared? And they prepared for weeks in advance to be at that event. And it was a lot of work, especially for my friend who was creating this product. He had to create multiple copies of it so that he could have them there to sell. But he also had to create his marketing, all the different things to hand out. And so he did that. He created a booth, and he's poured a lot of time and a lot of money into it. My other friend, who's the producer, he simply created some business cards, some pitch sheets where he could hand those to them. This is the story I'm interested in bringing. They both went to the NRB. They put themselves in the position to be around the people that they wanted to sell to. And guess what? They did. The movie producer friend, he met lots of people. He met some people very interested in his stories, great connections, things that will go on for years. And my other friend sold multiple copies of his product and met the people that he wanted to meet, the people that would open doors to many other people. And they both were very successful, but it was because they put themselves in position to be successful. They put themselves around the people that they could help them do more with what God's called them to do, because they're both doing what they're made for. So just a couple of examples that you can follow, that you can do. You can do the same thing. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. You don't have to go to, if you're down here, if you think you're here and the people you want to get with are up here, well, guess what? Just figure out how to get there. Start asking questions. Ask other people. Anybody know how I can meet this person? You'll be surprised how quickly you can meet those people, but then you have to be prepared. So I hope this helped you today, and God bless you. We will see you on the next episode.